Hi, today we're having a lesson on thesis statements. The first thing with a thesis statement is it must have a claim. You must be making some sort of statement. That statement can be persuasive, where you're trying to get your audience to agree with you. It can be informative, where you're just explaining the importance of something or educating your audience about some sort of process. Find out what your teacher requires. It's important you know what type of writing you are supposed to be doing during your research. This is where you can set the tone. If your topic is positive and you want them thinking happy thoughts about your topic, then you might want to make sure that you're including a positive tone in the claim. Same with negative. If you want them worried or concerned about your topic, go ahead and use words that are of concern here so you set that tone. Maybe it's imperative that action is taken, such as in my example, you want to make sure that that is included. My example, the United States should tighten measures to reduce human trafficking. I have the United States as my person that I want to make the change and what they should do. At this point, go to File, make a copy of this document, and go ahead and put your cursor under this example and go ahead and write your own example. When you are done, unpause the screencast. Now that you're unpaused and you're ready to move on, we have to include reasons why. So this is where you want to brainstorm content that interests you, that you might want to write about, or that you feel you must include in your research. You might want to draw your topic instead of write. That's okay if you want to. I'm doing a written example with written words and phrases. You want to make sure that you save these written words and phrases because you're going to need some of these keywords and ideas that you've brainstormed for your outline to support your main topics later on. So don't get rid of this work. Always refer back to this document when you're working on your thesis statement and outline. My example, I felt laws could stop human traffickers. I also felt like we could educate public service personnel, such as hotel staff and police officers, and I wanted to research how that's happening. I wanted to research some technology efforts that were being made to identify traffickers, public assistance, what we can do as public to support ending trafficking. Some articles that might be written for the public. Let's say I'm going to Uber. I'm going to take an Uber ride. I might want to read some safety tips on how not to get trafficked. And then finally, when people are traveling abroad, I thought maybe there are some articles out there that I want to research for that. So these are some brainstorms that I have done. So go ahead and do your own storming on your copy of this document and unpause when you're ready to move on. Now what you want to do now that you have brainstormed is you want to categorize laws to stop human traffickers. I essentially want to talk about laws. Education of public service personnel. I want to talk about education. Technology is the broad category, and the next one that I want to talk about. Well, this next one, public assistance help, photos of hotel rooms, posters, and travel spots. I actually didn't have a main topic keyword within, so I just went ahead and tagged it as education because that's where I felt it fit. And then the next two I felt were education pieces too. So go ahead and pause the screencast and categorize your own categories to try to come up with main topics that all of them fit into. It's okay if one looks like another because you'll just kind of categorize them and classify them together. One thing that happened to me was that I had education all over the place. So a little bell went off, ding, ding, ding. Oh, I seem to want to talk about education. And my teacher is always telling me that it's great to have a specific focus on my research, and that will yield better research. So I decided to actually make that my entire topic. But I have to redo my claim at that point. So I redid my claim and I turned it into the United States should increase education measures designed to end human trafficking. I'm going to eliminate laws and technology from my research completely. While they're valid and useful topics and really interesting, I'm not going to worry about them in my research. So when I find articles, I'm going to know that I don't need them. And so focusing my research actually helped me sort of knowing with my research where I want to focus and where I don't, and it will have me less bombarded by articles. So consider that and make the changes if you need. The next thing we want to do is we want to take our claim and we want to take our main topics and we want to put them within the claim. So I actually have education all over the place here. But one of my topics that I want to talk about within education is public service personnel. Another is the public. And then here again, it's the public. And then here it's travelers. And so I need to include those terms to support my claim. So I have my claim: the United States should increase education measures designed to end human trafficking through efforts to inform citizens, public service personnel on how to identify and stop traffickers and travelers planning to go abroad. Now, this isn't the best thesis statement, but I have a claim and I have 3 reasons. Pause me to put your own thesis statement together to have a claim and your 3 main topics you plan to discuss. Unpause when you're ready. Now we need to make sure that it's unique and researchable, your topics are, and so they need to be different from each other, and you need to be able to research them. So if you go into Google, can you type in education, human traffickers, citizens, education, human traffickers, public service personnel, education, human traffickers, and travelers, and you might get different articles. If you find a bunch of articles for all 3 of your main points, you're good, and you don't need to change them, and they are researchable and they are unique from each other, hopefully. And so that's what you want to be sure of at this time. Finally, you want to come up with the best draft. Probably your thesis statement is actually not that good. The first draft is almost never the best draft. And so what you want to do is you want to kind of rearrange maybe the words. Maybe you want to add some feeling words. I did 3 drafts, and you don't see my second draft, but my third draft is here. It's my favorite. The United States must increase efforts to halt human trafficking through education measures designed to better inform citizens, travelers, and public service personnel on their ability and power to lessen trafficking activity. So that was my favorite one. You might want to keep another draft of your thesis statement, because in your conclusion, it's likely that you're going to have to restate your thesis statement. And so another version of your thesis statement is probably very, very useful. Chances are, though, that your second, third, or fourth draft is your better draft. And so consider that as you're working on thesis statements. So below here, there's the opportunity to write a bunch of drafts of your thesis statement. You can ask a friend what they think. You can ask a teacher what they think, and just decide on what your best thesis statement is. Remember, you can also ask people for help if you need it. Good luck writing your thesis statements. I know you'll do a great job.